Christians have been reminded to put God first in everything they do and in all pursuits of life, and also to remember that God has first priority in their lives and resources. This call was made by the Diocesan Bishop of the Lagos Mainland Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, His Lordship the Right Reverend Akinpelu Johnson, during the opening service of the first session of the 5th Synod of the Diocese, held at the Cathedral Church of St. Jude's, Abuja, Lagos State, with a theme, "Who is on the Lord's side? Let him come to me." Charles Philip Wakolam has the full story.
The Lagos Mainland Diocese of the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion started its first session of the 5th Synod with an opening service held at the Cathedral Church of St. Jude, Abuja, Lagos State. The theme for this year's Synod says, "Who is on the Lord's side? Let him come to me," from the book of Exodus 32 verse 26, which is a call for Christians to choose God above every legitimate or illegitimate distraction.
Who is on the Lord's side? Let him come to me. There are many things competing with our time. Even we talked about lateness in church. And so in the light of that competition, there's a tendency that things of God will further take a backseat. So it's a way I want to say that, yes, we know that things are competing with us. Some of them are quite legitimate, but we shouldn't forget that God has first priority on our time, our talent, our resources. So that is basically what it's all about. That in spite of those competing things, legitimate, and of course some illegitimate as well, when we talk about idolatry, then we should always remember that God has first call upon our lives.
During the service, the Bishop of Abuja Diocese, the Right Reverend Samuel Ezofo, mentioned that the theme is a call to disconnect from idolatry, which is an act of rebellion against God. He also stressed that many people rebel against God and fellow humans.
Idolatry arises when there is a failure in priesthood, when there is a failure in leadership. Who is on the Lord's side? This is a call to disconnect yourself from everything that offends God.
Some bishops in attendance agreed with the sermon, saying that the Lord's side is the right place to be, and pray for God's grace to overcome the mundane things distracting Christians from their Maker.
Everyone is called to be on the Lord's side because that is the better place to be. Anybody who misses the Lord's side here will not be with him in his kingdom.
The man spoke well. He spoke about idolatry in our own generation. That was what made a lot of Israelites to die in the wilderness. And we have modern idols, money, fashion, and all these mundane things that are distracting us from the original purpose of God for our lives. We pray that God will give us grace to adjust our ways and be careful of those things that are taking us away from our Maker.
Proffering solution to rebellion, Bishop Ezofo called Christians to draw near to God for regeneration.
It is for anybody who sees himself in any of these things that were mentioned to now approach him in faith, and then he will readily accept that person, do the work that no other person can do in the life of a man, which is the work of regeneration. And when he does that, he will also help that person to overcome those things that are problems and help him or her to live a better Christian life.
From Lagos State, Charles Philip Wakolam, ACNN TV News.